This is in regard to the Boeing team that has reached in order to investigate the matter and in order to pick up more clues in the plane crash that took place in Ahmedabad.
That's right. Important, this investigating team which has come from Boeing, they will be assisting in the investigation which is being led by AAIB, that is the Aviation Accident Investigation Board of Bureau of India. They are the ones, those who are leading this investigation. And remember, the Boeing team becomes very, very important because Boeing is the manufacturer of 787 Dreamliner, which the Air India was operating, Air India 171, which crashed. This is the first time since 2011 an aircraft which is considered to be quite safe. This is the first time this wide-body aircraft has seen this kind of an accident in which, just one on 242 on board lost their lives. And there are 34 people on the ground, those who have also, in fact, lost their lives. Many others are still injured and recuperating at the hospital. Now, the Boeing team of engineers and investigators, those who are in Ahmedabad, they have been taken to the crash site. Now, this becomes very, very important because they are the engineers, those who manufacture this plane. They would want to understand exact trajectory of the plane and the moment, the way it followed the path and hit this building. Apart from that, there are, remember, some physical investigation of the entire wreckage, which has the tail section which was brought down yesterday itself, the largely intact tail section, one engine, which also becomes a very important piece of forensic investigation, which is lodged in just about 400 meters from the place where the tail was of the mess of the BJ Medical College junior doctors mess. That's where they would also be going and understanding the situation of the engine. All of this debris and wreckage will be taken, very, very minutely looked at, studied at, and coupled with the black box which has been recovered, both the cockpit voice recorder and the data recorder of this aircraft is going to give us a picture of what exactly happened. So Boeing becomes a very important instrument in this entire investigation, Divya.
Right, Ankit, and of course, it's not just officials from the United States and from the United Kingdom that are involved in the probes. Now, the Boeing team is also at the crash site, like Ankit was mentioning. This is a multi-agency probe into the crash that took place in Ahmedabad. But also, Ankit, very significant is the recovery of the second part of the black box that has now been found. So let's just get you details of the black box. This is the second part of the black box, the cockpit voice recorder that was on the plane that has been recovered. And this will really, Ankit, help piece together as far as the conversation that took place inside the cockpit between this is, of course, the pilot and the co-pilot and the crew members. This is a very crucial discovery which will really help identify the possible cause or the possible causes behind the deadly crash that killed 275 people, including 41 people to be precise, on board that flight. So, of course, Ankit, so far we do know that the initial part of the black box was found on Friday, and that was in record time of about 28 hours, given the fact, just for the sake of, reference to our viewers, take us through the kind of damage that you've seen all across the area of the crash site.
Well, the crash site, which was the hostel, the BJ Medical Hostel of the junior doctors, it is about a kilometer, but the entire crash area where the debris was strewn, about 700 meters in this entire, residential complex. The tail of the plane has got stuck on the roof of the mess and the kitchen, and that's where both these black boxes were found. In fact, remember, they are part of one component with two different factions as far as this black box is concerned. One, of course, records the conversation or the noise as far as the cockpit is concerned. The other part is the mechanical part of this entire aircraft. Now, both of them were recovered from the wreckage on the terrace itself, where the tail was lodged, and this is largely placed within that section of the tail. Now, how this will help, because remember, not just the 50 seconds from the time it came to the taxi, to the runway for taxiing, and then the 31 seconds attempted takeoff where it seemed that it was not able to gain enough thrust and elevation. The black box will tell the investigators exactly the conversation that happened between the pilot and the co-pilot and the crew members before the takeoff, and at the time, the crucial time when they began the sequence of takeoff, what was the conversation between them and the ATC. Apart from that, the other important details that the black box would be able to, the cockpit voice recorder would be able to tell are the various signs, the warning signs and the noise that they create. That is going to be very, very important to understand whether there was a complete systemic failure of this aircraft that resulted in this crash, coupled with the 1,000 parameters that the data recorder has, will give the investigators a sense whether it was a human error or it was a mechanical failure that resulted in the crash of AI-171. This would also, in a way, give initial signs of whether the other wide-body aircrafts, the 787s, which are being operated by not only by operators in India, like the Air India, but all across the world, whether they need immediate grounding of all these aircraft for further investigation, or business can run as usual as far as all those aircrafts are concerned. So, not just in India, but across the world, at this moment, every operator which flies 787 keenly looking at the causes of this crash.